Here is President Obama at a high school in Elkhart, Indiana. Remember, in January of 2009, he was talking about entitlement reform. In 2012, during the debt ceiling crisis, he offered cuts to Social Security to the Republicans. In his 2013 budget, he called for a chain CPI, which is another way of saying we're going to recalculate benefits and we're going to give you cuts to Social Security. There were two reasons why we got to this day. Reason number one is the Republicans would not take yes for an answer and make the deal that he wanted to make. And reason number two is because progressive groups, progressive writers, progressive bloggers, you people fought tooth and nail, not just to avoid cuts, but to expand Social Security. We already have on the books a resolution, non-binding, they're in the minority, of the entire Democratic caucus, like maybe minus one, not even sure about that, voting in favor of expanding Social Security. One of two of our presidential candidates has talked about expanding Social Security broadly, and the other one has talked about it expanding Social Security in a more targeted fashion. President Obama yesterday at this school essentially, if anything, made the presumptive, or not maybe quite presumptive, but the leading candidate in the Democratic primary almost a half a step outside of mainstream Democratic thought by coming out with this. This is clip number 2.
But look, let's face it, a lot of Americans don't have retirement savings. Even if they've got an account set up, they just don't have enough money at the end of the month to save as much as they'd like because they're just barely paying the bills. Fewer and fewer people have pensions they can really count on, which is why Social Security is more important than ever. We can't afford to weaken Social Security. We should be strengthening Social Security. And not only do we need to strengthen its long-term health, it's time we finally made Social Security more generous and increased its benefits so that today's retirees and future generations get the dignified retirement that they've earned. And we could start paying for it by asking the wealthiest Americans to contribute a little bit more. They can afford it. I can afford it.
Now, the raising the cap, that's not new with President Obama. He said that in 2007 as a candidate. But he was saying it in the context of what he said in this speech as strengthening Social Security. More generous benefits, that's new. That's big, ladies and gentlemen. That's big because it basically sets the marker. And his entire equation there, where he talks about how 401ks have failed, that people don't have money in their pensions. Google Duncan Black, otherwise known as Atrios, USA Today, and you will find at least one or two editorials written 2 or 3 years ago when it was like considered fantasy land that the Democrats would even adopt this position. It's a big deal. It's a really big deal. It is a perfect example of incrementalism working incrementally. We're not there yet, but it's exciting. All right, Hello, you. I'm Sam Seder. Looking for smart progressive talk that is occasionally amusing? Well, subscribe to our YouTube feed. Subscribe to our podcast. Like us on Facebook. And just generally enjoy us.